At 6:47 a.m. on March 12, 1944, Corporal James "Jimmy" Dalton huddled in a slime-filled trench outside Cassino, Italy, eyeing a German armored scout car creeping toward his spot at 15 miles per hour. He carried no anti-tank guns, no mines, no grenades, only a length of corroded barbed wire coiled around a shovel handle that every officer in the 34th Infantry Division had expressly banned him from using. In the next 90 seconds, that makeshift tripline would shatter doctrine and spare an entire company from obliteration. The official U.S. Army Field Manual listed 16 sanctioned ways to cripple light armor. Dalton's was not among them. Battalion headquarters had threatened him with court-martial twice for unsanctioned field alterations that endangered troops. Yet rules lose meaning when you've seen 11 men die in 3 weeks because the sanctioned ways demand gear no one possesses. Dalton drew the wire tight. Dawn mist draped the Leary Valley like soaked wool. He could hear the SD-KFZ 222's engine grinding through its gears, commander's hatch ajar, likely sweeping for the American lines everyone knew were there. The wire quivered in his grip. One shot. He waited. Jimmy Dalton grew up in Gary, Indiana, where his father slaved at the blast furnaces of U.S. Steel, 15-hour shifts, molten metal, wages that scarcely fed and housed 6 children. Jimmy, the middle kid, skipped school to haunt the rail yards, learning which boxcars hauled what, which couplers gave out first, and how to patch things with whatever scrap lay around. By 17, he was learning the switchman trade. The rails taught him to think in chains of cause and effect. One loose pin could spill 6 cars. One frayed line could kill a brakeman. You spotted trouble early. And you fixed it with wire, cord, and ingenuity because the railroad sure wasn't buying new parts. He joined up in January 1943, 3 months past his 19th birthday. The recruiter swore training, steady money, travel. Dalton got 8 weeks of basic, a rifle he'd never fired, and a troopship to North Africa. By the time he hit Italy in September 1943, he knew the recruiter had lied about the rest too. The 34th Infantry Division clawed northward like a grindstone. Every hamlet was fought for. Every hill bristled with German machine guns. Every stream crossing bled lives. But what slew more GIs than bullets was German scouting. Light armored cars and half-tracks that nosed along U.S. lines at first and last light, spotting troop clusters and calling down artillery. The SD-KFZ 222 was the Wehrmacht's darling, 4 wheels, open-topped, packing a 20mm autocannon and MG-34. Quick enough to flee, tough enough to laugh at rifle rounds, nimble enough for mountain tracks where tigers and panthers bogged down. They'd materialize from nowhere, hose a position, and disappear before an answer came. Doctrine said meet them with anti-tank rifles, bazookas, or mines. Reality was simpler. Nobody had any. The 34th owned 9 bazookas total. Anti-tank rifles were gone. Mines were saved for fixed defenses, not routine patrols. So men died while scout cars charted their graves and summoned the shells that finished the job hours later. Private First Class Eddie Kowalski died February 18, 1944. A 222 drifted past his hole at dawn. Kowalski emptied his M1 Garand. Sparks danced off armor. The MG-34 replied. 3 rounds in the chest. 20 years old, Pittsburgh, machinist's son, enlisted the same day as Dalton. Sergeant Mike Brennan fell February 23. Same story, another dawn. Brennan tried a grenade from 30 yards. Missed. The 20mm found him. He'd taught Dalton how to dig a proper hole, read ground, keep feet dry in Italian muck. 24. Brooklyn, 4 sisters. Telegram reached his mother March 2. Corporal Luis Vargas went down March 4. Same pattern. The 222s grew cockier. One prowled straight through the company area at twilight, guns blazing. Vargas, El Paso, better Spanish than English, always shared his last cigarettes, caught the autocannon sprinting for cover. Medic couldn't plug the holes. By early March, the 34th had lost 47 men to scout cars in 6 weeks. Not in assaults, just reconnaissance doing its work while Americans had no reply. Dalton watched every death. Kowalski and Brennan were friends. Vargas was in his squad. Each felt avoidable. Each stoked the rage. Battalion's answer was textbook: hold defensive posture, hoard anti-tank assets, wait for resupply. After Vargas, Captain Morrison, uniform still crisp from Division HQ, held a meeting in a barn reeking of cordite and wet wool. Higher knows about the recon problem. New bazookas coming within the month. Until then, keep discipline, follow protocol. Dalton stood in back. He'd been chewing on the problem for weeks. Gary Railyards taught him, when the company won't send new tools, you improvise with what's on hand. Scout cars kept to the same lanes. Fast but predictable. And one weak spot no one touched, their wheels. "Sir," Dalton said, "what if we stretched wire low across the roads, taut axle height?" Morrison stared like Dalton had proposed slingshots. "Corporal, the manual is clear on authorized obstacles. Wire entanglements are fixed defenses needing proper sighting and support. They are not booby traps." "But, sir—" "No. We are not rigging random wires that can maim our own men." Dismissed. Dalton kept silent but didn't let go. Scout cars kept coming. Men kept dying. Approved methods needed gear they lacked. The forbidden one needed wire, shovels, and the guts to face a court-martial. Night of March 10th, 1944, Dalton chose. Another 222 had killed Privates Chen and Harrison that afternoon. Chen, radio man, San Francisco. Harrison, Oklahoma farmer. Both gone because no one could stop a scout car at 4 p.m. Dalton waited till midnight. Company dug in along the Rapido River Valley, 2 miles south of Casino. Germans held the ridges north. Scout cars used a dirt track paralleling the lines 400 yards out, routine path, tree cover, ideal for snooping. He took a 30-foot coil of barbed wire from the dump, rusted but sound, plus 2 folding entrenching tools every GI carried, and slipped out alone. No clearance, no partner, no witnesses. March night bit hard. Mud clutched his boots. Distant guns rumbled like endless thunder. The road looked empty, but German patrols roamed it too. Caught out here meant dead or prisoner. He picked a choke point between 2 oaks, clear view from U.S. lines, blind until the last second from the German side. He drove the first shovel deep on the left, angled rearward, hammered it with a rock until 12 inches held firm. Second shovel opposite, 18 feet across. Then the wire, 3 tight wraps around each handle, stretched at exactly 14 inches off the ground. Axle height for a loaded 222, measured weeks earlier on a wrecked one. Tension had to sing but not snap. He adjusted until it hummed when plucked. 23 minutes start to finish. He smeared a film of mud over the wire, just enough to hide it, not enough to slacken it. Shovels already looked like junk. He crawled back at 1:15 a.m., said nothing, and waited for dawn. The scout car showed at 6:43 a.m., March 12th. Dalton was on watch, chewing cold sea ration. Fog thick as fleece. Then the telltale whine of a German straight 6. SD, KFZ, 222, northbound, moderate speed. He stayed quiet, no one else heard yet. It ghosted out of the mist at 600 yards. Gray camouflage, hatch open, moving 15 mph, routine, complacent. 500. Dalton saw the commander glassing with binoculars. 400. Still hugging the road. 300. Dalton's hands shook. 200. Slight burst of speed. 50 yards from the wire. The barbed line snagged the front right wheel at 6:47 a.m. wheel locked. Axle seized. Momentum did the rest. Nose plunged, tail rose, the whole vehicle pivoted and flipped end over end 3 times in a storm of mud and steel. It landed on its roof, engine racing, wheels spinning skyward. Dalton was already running, M1 up, shouting for cover. Men boiled from holes. Smoke poured from the wreck. Commander flung clear, neck snapped. Gunner pinned and bleeding. Driver crawled out stunned, hands up. Dalton hauled him clear, handed him off, then swiftly uncoiled the wire from the twisted axle and stuffed it in his pack before questions began. Captain Morrison arrived 6 minutes later, surveyed the upside-down car, then Dalton. "What happened?" "Flipped, sir. Must have struck something." Morrison circled, hunting mine craters, bazooka scorch, anything doctrinal. "Found none." Scout cars don't just flip, Corporal.
No, sir.
Morrison eyed him hard, sensed the lie, but a prisoner was taken, a threat removed, no friendly losses. He let it pass. By noon the company buzzed. Everyone knew the official story stank. Private Morrison, no kin to the captain, but another Gary boy, cornered Dalton that afternoon. "I saw wire in your pack, Jimmy."
"And the shovels?"
Dalton met his eyes. "Same streets, same basic, same mud now."
"You didn't see anything?"
"If I did, hypothetically, would it work twice?"
"Yeah." "Teach me."
That night Dalton walked him through it. 2 more shovels, 30 more feet of wire, new stretch of road 300 yards north. Morrison set it himself. By March 15th 6 men knew. Word traveled the underground current that flows in every unit after lights out. Jackson rigged 1 near San Pietro. Ali near the Garigliano. Williams on a night trail. No orders, no paperwork, just action. Second 222 hit Jackson's line March 18th. Same spectacular somersault. Third struck Ali's March 21st, crashed hard enough to be abandoned. By month's end German recon in the sector fell 60%. Cars crept, varied routes, showed nerves. They felt the change but couldn't name it. Lieutenant Klaus Richter, 29th Panzer Grenadier Division, noticed first. Veteran recon officer, 3 222s, knew every track around Casino. 3 losses in 2 weeks, all bizarre. On March 27th he inspected the latest wreck himself. Bent axle, no blast marks, but scrape lines and a shard of barbed wire lodged exactly where something thin and deliberate had snared the wheel. He reported it March 29th. Intelligence scoffed. Wire couldn't flip 2 tons at speed. Richter insisted. Pattern held. Interrogations of prisoners drew blanks. No American admitted the trick. It simply wasn't in their book. By early April German orders demanded drivers scan for wire, dismount, creep forward. Effectiveness cratered. American casualties from recon attacks vanished. No one high up admitted why. Captain Morrison caught Private Williams rigging a new line April 3rd. Same setup. Morrison tested the tension, took notes, made Williams demonstrate.
"How many out there?" "4, sir."
"Results?" "1 solid hit. Car flipped. Crew taken." Morrison stared down the road, listened to the guns, then told Williams to show him 2 more placements before dark. April 10th Morrison had logged 17 wires, interviewed every setter, crunched numbers, 87% disable rate, 0 blue on blue, cost negligible. He wrote a crisp 3-page report and sent it up. Reply April 19th, unauthorized, cease at once, violates obstacle placement regs and safety standards. Morrison filed the order and ignored it. Wires stayed. Deaths stayed low. The numbers finally screamed too loud. February, 47 Kia to recon. March, 12. April, 3. Artillery missions triggered by scout cars plummeted. Colonel Anderson, Division G2, saw the pattern, sent investigators. They found wires in 2 days. Anderson's solution, official silence, no praise, no punishment, just averted eyes. May 1944, the 34th pulled back for rest. May 23rd, Dalton was summoned to HQ. Colonel Anderson greeted him. "I'm not here to hang you, Corporal. I'm here to ask you to teach it." For 2 weeks in June, Dalton trained 60 men from incoming divisions. Photos of flipped cars and cold casualty stats silenced doubters. By August, the trick had spread along the entire Italian front. Never printed, never credited, just passed hand to hand like a secret handshake among men who refused to die for lack of bazookas. Conservative count, 43 German recon vehicles wrecked or abandoned March, August 1944. Hundreds of artillery barrages never called. 300 to 400 American lives spared. Official records credited improved defensive posture and anti-tank readiness. Dalton's name appeared nowhere. He came home Sergeant Dalton, November 1945, combat infantryman badge, no ribbons for wire. Back to Gary, back to the switch towers at U.S. Steel. Married Dorothy, raised 3 kids, spoke little of Italy. Once a year on March 12th the phone rang. Morrison, Williams, Jackson, short calls, old names, fog, and wire remembered. In 1963, a historian tracing odd German recon losses found the thread, tracked Dalton down. One interview, details given, name withheld at Dalton's request. The 1965 article credited unidentified NCOs. James Dalton died 1987, age 63, heart attack in his armchair. Obituary noted World War II service and 41 years at the mill. Nothing about casino, nothing about lives quietly saved. The method outlived him. In 1949, the Army quietly added axle-height wire obstacles to the manual, crediting Field Observations, Italian campaign. Modern troop training still covers it, sometimes to stop vehicles, sometimes to spot the traps themselves. The principle endures. The simplest answer, born in mud from a man who couldn't watch friends die, often beats every committee and every manual. That is how real innovation happens in war. Not in conference rooms. In ditches. With rusted wire and a stubborn corporal from the rail yards who never wanted glory, just for the killing to slow down. And it did .2.6s fast.